Why didn't you tell the truth about why you restarted the payments?
I don't believe that is settled yet.
So either you're lying or the court's lying. And I'm just asking you, which one is it?
Congresswoman.
Did you prepare for this hearing today?
I'm not here to be your prop.
Are you governor of Minnesota or not?
Yes, I am. I'm
Okay,
not.
well,
I'm
when
not
I'm
a prop
governor of
for a
South
member
Carolina,
Congress.
you can sure as hell bet that I'm going to know the math.
Governor Walz, feeding our future went from $307,000 in 2018 to $199 million in 2021. Are you aware of that?
Not specifically.
If these concerns are proven to be true, you should be disbarred and you should go to jail. I yield back.
So yesterday was quite a day for Tim Walz and Keith Ellison, the governor and the attorney general of Minnesota. They had to sit in front of the House Oversight Committee and explain how, under their watch, federal prosecutors say up to $9 billion got stolen from social service programs. $9 billion with a B. The programs meant to feed the less fortunate kids, programs meant to help people with autism, Medicaid, all of it. And these two had to look at Congress in the eye and explain what happened. And spoiler alert, they couldn't, like at all. They got absolutely cooked. And I'm not even talking about, well, they had a tough day type of cook. I mean, receipts on the table, judge calling you a liar, can't even tell how many people got indicted in your own state type of cook.
Why didn't you just tell the truth about the Feeding Our Future program? This program, my understanding, received $3 million the first year. Within a couple years was getting $200 million of taxpayer money. Whistleblowers raised concerns. As the chairman said, auditors raised concerns. Everybody raised concerns. March 30th, 2021, the payments are stopped. And a little over a month later, the payments are restarted. Why didn't you tell the truth about why you restarted the payments?
Well, Chairman, we did tell you. And Feeding Our Future grew because of the pandemic. And
I didn't ask that question. I said, why didn't you tell the truth about why you restarted the payments? The payments stopped because there were concerns, obviously. You wouldn't stop the payments. Then they're restarted a month later. What was the reason for restarting the payments?
my understanding was the agency believed that the court had required them to make those payments.
And that was false, wasn't it? You repeated
think
that.
that
You
is-
said that, didn't you? You said that's
don't
why the
think-
reason you said the reason you restarted is because the court ordered you to do so. Is that right?
I don't believe that is settled yet, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, I think it is, because the court did something that I don't know if I've ever seen it. They issued a statement saying you were wrong in what you were saying. This is from the court. It says, Feeding Our Future versus Minnesota Department of Education, correcting reports and statements by Governor Tim Walz concerning orders issued by the court. Here's what the judge says. Governor Tim Walz told the media that the Minnesota Department of Education attempted in payments to FOF because of possible fraud, but that Judge Guthman ordered payments to continue in April 2021. Next sentence, that is false. So you said something that wasn't true. He further states this, Judge Guthman, the court says this, Judge Guthman never ordered the Department of Education to resume payments to Feeding Our Future in April 2021 or at any other time. So I want to know, why didn't you tell the truth?
Congressman, the attorneys at the Department of Education interpreted that differently. Both of those judges are no longer on the bench, and I think that interpretation.
The very first sentence, the first 7 words. This is not some unnamed source talking to the New York Times. This is not some anonymous source talking to whatever your Minnesota Star Tribune or whatever your paper is. This is the court speaking. First sentence, first 7 words. Due to inaccurate statements by the governor, Ramsey County District Court judge has issued and authorized this following news released. That's pretty straightforward. So the court's lying?
I can't tell you, Congressman, but the interpretation
somebody's lying. Somebody's lying, because you can't say the court ordered you to restart the payments, and then the court says we didn't order you to restart the payments. So either you're lying or the court's lying. And I'm just asking you, which one is it?
I just simply know what the attorneys at the agency believed, that it was a misinterpretation. And I would note that those payments.
Could it be you were trying to hide behind the court, Governor? Could that maybe be the reason why you issued the statements you did and why the court had to do something you never see done before? They issue a press statement saying you're wrong. The governor is wrong. His statement is, their words, not mine, false. Could that be the reason?
That was not the interpretation of the attorneys. And you know, court work, you can appeal.
Walz looks so bad. Do you see his face? I mean, I'm sure you see his face right here. This is a man who just realized that the excuse he's been using for years got blown up in his face. So let me walk you through this because this is important. For years, Governor Walz has been saying this reason his administration restarted the payments for Feeding Our Future because a judge ordered them to. That was a whole defense. We tried to stop the money, but the court made us keep paying. Cool story, except it's not true. And it's not even me saying that. It's the judge, the own judge in the case, issue a public press release in 2022 because the governor kept lying about what happened. The press release starts with, and I'm not paraphrasing, due to inaccurate statements by the governor. That's the court talking. And what does that say? The judge never ordered the Department of Education to resume payments. Not in April 2021, not ever. It never happened. So Jordan puts this document right in front of Walz's face and asks the most simplest question on planet Earth. Somebody's lying. Is it you or is it the court? And Walz starts talking about how agency attorneys interpreted things differently. Come on. The courts issued a press release to correct you. This is not an interpretation problem. It's a lying problem. And he just sat there and proved it.
How many people have been indicted in your state right now? Do you know, Governor?
I don't have those numbers with me.
You don't? 98 people been indicted. You happen to know how many are Somali American?
I don't. We don't investigate or prosecute people based on ethnicity, religion.
Neither do I. We shouldn't do that. But Mr. Megan is a Somali American who just said that the court, one of the concerns was this is a core voting block. And I just want to know if you know how many of the 98 people who have been indicted in your state are Somali.
I don't. Their ethnicity is not my concern.
85% of the people indicted were Somali American in key voting block. And I think that's what drove this whole thing. With that, I yield back.
Now, Jordan wasn't done. He shifts gears and asks Governor Walz a simple question. How many people have been indicted? And the governor of Minnesota, who has been out there telling everybody he's fighting fraud, he doesn't know the number. 98 people got indicted in his state, and this man can't tell you that number at all. Jordan follows up. Do you know how many of those indicted are Somali American? Walz stumbles again, doesn't know that either. Jordan tells him it's 85%. And then Jordan says what everybody's watching is already thinking. That's a key voting block, and that's what drove this whole thing. I mean, think about what's being alleged here. This isn't just, oops, we missed some fraud. The allegation is that Tim Walz looked at the fraud operation, draining hundreds of millions of dollars from these programs meant to feed children, and made a political calculation. That cracking down would cost him votes that he needed. So the money kept flowing. So when Jordan asked him about it, the governor can't even tell you the basic facts of the cases in his own state. That's not a man that's been fighting fraud. That's not even a man who's been paying attention. And look, his career is over. He already dropped his re-election bid over this situation. He knows where this is going. We all know where this is going.
I'll answer for you, sir. Governor Walz believes there is an active crime ring in our state. In October, the governor said, quote, "We've got an organized crime ring in Minnesota. I think it's been going on for years." Moving on, Mr. Ellison, I, along with millions of Americans, have grave concerns over your alleged relationships with Somali fraudsters who have since been charged and convicted of federal crimes. I'm sure you are aware that over 90% of the defendants charged in the Feeding Our Future fraud case are of Somali descent. In fact, you have personal knowledge of these people. There's a 54-minute audio tape of your meeting with these criminals in December of 2021. And during your meeting, they complained to you about increased scrutiny of their nonprofits, and you told them, quote, "Of course I'm here to help," end quote. It's on the internet. Anyone can listen to you say that. Since then, you claim you were not aware of their crimes in the $250 million Feeding Our Future scheme, the largest pandemic fraud case in the nation. But just weeks after your December 2021 meeting, the FBI executed search warrants that you never would have requested in the Feeding Our Future fraud investigation. Now let's fast forward to September of 2022, 10 months after you met with the Somali fraudsters. Your office issued a press release stating, quote, "Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison and his office have been deeply involved for 2 years in holding Feeding Our Future accountable," end quote. So according to your office, sir, you have been deeply involved in the Feeding Our Future case since September of 2020. That actually sounds like you are saying that at the time of your infamous meeting with the Somali fraudsters, you were already aware of the allegations of fraud. When you had this meeting in December 2021, did you know, sir, about the long-running FBI investigation into Feeding Our Future? Yes or no?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Emmer.
Reclaiming my time. When did you personally become aware of the FBI investigation? That's all I'm asking.
Representative Emmer, as you know, I have addressed this issue many times.
All right. Reclaiming my time. In that same meeting with the fraudsters, Mr. Attorney General, you took aim at the Minnesota Department of Education. You stated that the Minnesota Department of Education had fought the nonprofit in very disgusting ways, in a very racist, xenophobic, and Islamophobic manner. You actually asked for the names of all these folks who are just hung up and offered to call the Minnesota Department of Education to, quote, demand some explanations. We now know that when you made these comments, the Biden DOJ was working with the Minnesota Department of Education and that their work exposed the massive fraud ring. Pretty bad look for you, sir. Either you were oblivious to what was going on under your nose, or worse, you were trying to obstruct the work of the Minnesota Department of Education. So I can see the time is getting short. Mr. Chairman, we are left with two questions. One, what did Governor Walz and Keith Ellison know about the fraud? And two, when did they actually know it? I would suggest that if they do not give direct and truthful answers to both these questions at this hearing, then they both need to be put under oath in a deposition. This is a serious thing, Mr. Attorney General. You are the only one who thinks protecting taxpayer dollars is political. Mr. Ellison, my concern is that you actively obstructed this investigation in exchange for campaign donations, a quid pro quo. If these concerns are proven to be true, you should be disbarred and you should go to jail. I yield back.
All right, we have to talk about Keith Ellison because Walz had a terrible day, but Ellison, he might have had a worse one. And it starts with that tape in December 2021. Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of Minnesota, the top law enforcement officer in the state, sat down with people who were later be charged and convicted in the Feeding Our Future fraud case. There's a 54-minute recording of this meeting. 54 minutes. And on that tape, where individuals start complaining about the increased scrutiny of their nonprofit's scam, Ellison tells them, on recording, of course I'm here to help.
December 2021 meeting with Attorney General Keith Ellison is drawing new scrutiny when several people now convicted in the Feeding Our Future scandal came to him saying they were part of a small business organization and asked for help.
I'm very concerned about it. I don't run the agencies. Absolutely. Yeah. But let me just finish by saying, but often the agencies call on my lawyers to represent them. When you tell me, hey, this is a problem, I call somebody and say, what's going on?
The Attorney General telling future federal defendants he's here to help them with scrutiny. That's why Tom comes in and just lays the whole thing out. He accuses Ellison of the quid pro quo, objecting the investigation in exchange for campaign donations. Then he looks at Ellison dead in the face and says, if this is proven to be true, you should be disbarred and you should go to jail. The optics of this situation is completely devastating because it looks like a man who cannot defend himself. And when your only defense requires a long explanation that you can't even get your 10 words out, yeah, they're going back and forth, but the tape speaks for itself. And the tape is damning.
Let's talk about budgets, Governor Walz. Feeding Our Future went from $307,000 in 2018 to $199 million in 2021. Are you aware of this increase in budgetary costs from Feeding Our Future?
Not specifically, but I know it increased during the pandemic.
The Housing Stabilization Services went from $27 million in 2021 to $105 million in 2024. Are you aware of this increase, Governor Walz?
Not specifically, but I know it increased.
Autism centers went from $24 million in 2019 to $342 million in 2024. Are you aware of that?
Not specifically again, but yes, we know the budget's increased.
Integrated community supports went from $4.6 million in 2021 to $170 million in 2024. Are you aware of that?
Again, not specifically on the numbers, but it's the budget.
The numbers are insane. That's a lot of money. In 3 years, under Governor Walz. And when Donald's asked what kind of scaling happens under a governor who claims he was paying attention, and you know what Walz says? He starts talking about budgets. Not the fraud, not the oversight failures, not the whistleblowers who've been screaming from the rooftops. Budgets. You don't go from $307,000 to $199 million without anybody noticing. Auditors noticed, the whistleblowers noticed, the Department of Education noticed. They actually stopped payments at one point. And then the payments got restarted, which brings us back to what Jordan just exposed, the fake court order excuse. You see how this keeps looping back? It's the same story. Red flags go up, someone tries to stop the money, but then the money gets turned back on, and nobody is being held accountable. And the governor says he didn't know. every single time. At one point, the pattern is the answer. This is not some rogue nonprofit slipping through the cracks. This is a system that keeps failing in the exact same direction. Money out the door with no questions whatsoever.
How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2017, Governor?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, Congresswoman.
Did you prepare for this hearing today? Did you
I
do
did.
any preparation
I
for
take
this hearing
Congress
today?
seriously.
And you've seen the numbers about autism fraud in Minnesota. So we're going to do some Minnesota math with you today, okay? Are you ready? How much money was spent on 2017 for autism in Minnesota? How much?
I don't know. I wasn't the governor.
Okay. Did you not just say that you prepared for this hearing today? $1 million, okay? A quick Google search or using your AI could tell you $1 million was spent. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2024?
I don't have the number in front of me. As
Were you governor
I
in
don't-
2024?
I was, but I'm not the
Okay,
head
so
of
your
HHS.
excuse before that you didn't know what 2017 autism numbers were because you were not governor, and today you can't answer the numbers about 2024 as governor, and you still said you prepared for this hearing today. It's unbelievable. $343 million was spent in 2024. What percent increase is that from 1 million to 343 million? What percentage increase is that?
I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell me.
Are you governor of Minnesota or not?
Yes, I am. I'm not.
Well,
I'm
when
not
I'm
a prop
governor of
for a
South
member of
Carolina,
Congress.
you can sure as hell bet that I'm going to know the math. The math is 34,200% increase, an increase of 343 times what it was in this time period. Do you know the number of children in Minnesota?
I know that Minnesota ranked as a top 3 state for children in the
What is the
last
total
year.
population in Minnesota?
5.7 million.
Okay. What is the total population of children in Minnesota?
I don't have the number in front of me right now.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
I know 400,000 were cut out of health care last
Okay,
week by
that's
the
not-
actions you made.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
I am.
And you don't know the number of children
I
residing
don't
in
have the
Minnesota?
specific number.
And then when you think it's over, it's not over. Nancy Mace comes in with a whole different set of numbers. We talked about this in a video, maybe 2 videos ago. Different program, but the same results. The Minnesota Autism Services spending. It was $1 million in 2017, then it shot up to $343 million by 2024 in 7 years. And Walz does the exact same thing he did with Donalds and Jordan. He dodges, he gets frustrated, because that's been Walz's entire playbook. Every time someone puts a number in front of him, he acts like the question is the problem, like the math is an attack, like showing him his own state's spending is somehow unfair. But these are his programs, his state, his agencies on his watch. And these numbers are screaming. You cannot go from $1 million to $343 million and tell me that everything is fine. That's the same issue with the Feeding Our Future. There's the same explosive amount of money going out the door, no oversight, and the same governor that says he's handling it, but it's not working. I mean, the timeline is not working, the math is not working. And Tim Walz sat in front of Congress today and could not explain any of it. So that hearing was about 4 hours of Tim Walz and Keith Ellison just getting spanked. Tim Walz could not explain why he lied about the court orders, couldn't explain the spending explosions, didn't know how many people got indicted in his own state. Keith Ellison couldn't even explain why the Attorney General of Minnesota was on tape telling future defendants, federal defendants, that he was there to help. The committee is already talking about getting some depositions under oath, so this is not over, not even close. They're just getting started. There was a recent conviction or guilty plea about a $6 million scam that was in Minnesota. Actually, let me show that to you real quick before we head out.
Today, a guilty plea in federal court connected to a multi-million-dollar autism fraud scheme in Minnesota. The defendant accused of paying kickbacks to recruit children, fake diagnoses, and bilking the Medicaid system.
Abdi Najib Yusuf admitted that his he called them investors, brought in unqualified staff, family members as young as 18 to do medical services. And then they recruited children from Somali families to receive services in return for kickbacks, which were also paid with taxpayer money. Many of the kids didn't even have autism, but Yusuf admits after 4 years, Star Autism Center had racked up $6 million in reimbursements. Yusuf sent $200,000 to Kenya and spent $100,000 on a Freightliner semi. He did not say how much of the $6 million he kept for himself.
So this is the problem. This is the issue, and you can tell these two men should not be in any public service at all, ever again. They're done. Tim Walz is already done. I don't see how anyone will continue to re-elect or even have Keith Ellison represent them, but stranger things has happened. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.